pro wrestling is to be believed, and it should be because it's fantastic,
It was me all along, Austin!
every fighter has or should have a distinctive finishing and or signature move. Triple H has the pedigree, The Undertaker has the tombstone piledriver, John Cena has the AA, Simon Gotch just shoots, I guess.
Enzo is a fucking abortion.
In reality, this isn't usually the case. There aren't a lot of fighters who have a particular weapon which consistently fells their opponents. It's rare that we get something like Crow Cop with his left high kick from southpaw, or Alexei Oleinik with the Ezekiel choke, or even Ovin St. Preux with the Von Flue choke. But as a lot of these examples indicate, when a fighter does find success with a single, particular weapon, it often happens a light heavyweight or heavyweight, where the competition is, to put it lightly, kinda whack. In those heavier divisions, you can get away with a single reliable weapon, because many of your opponents won't even have that.
Wow!
Once you're down at middleweight and beyond, the opponent's cardio gets better, they get faster, and they also get more technically dexterous.
This is a work of art.
And that's when we see less and less signature moves. Even if there's something that fans typically relate to a certain fighter, like Conor McGregor's ubiquitous left hand, it's often not exceedingly particular. McGregor has scored knockouts and knockdowns with that left hand consistently, yes, but in a multiplicity of ways. Pullback left hands, stiff 1-2s, left hooks around the guard. Yes, the left hand's been the culprit, but it's been employed in a variety of different ways to get those finishes and knockdowns. And that's our cue to turn to former UFC middleweight champion and top bloke, Robert Whittaker, who actually does seem to have a finishing move, or at the very least, a distinctive signature. The 1-2 high kick is a near inevitability when watching Whittaker fight, even if he doesn't land it flush every time. Even this past weekend against highly touted middleweight contender Jared Cannonier, Whittaker found his mark with this familiar weapon early in the third round. You know, it doesn't land in a vacuum, of course. In his best performances, Whittaker pumps out one of the best jabs the middleweight division has. He can throw it while standing up tall, or he can throw it while dipping to his right. He throws it in combination, or he can throw it as a solitary shot. It's one of the most educated jabs you'll see in MMA, and as his poor opponent's orbitals can attest to, it's rather irritating to have poking away at you. With his man right in front of him, Whittaker will start using his right hand, and that's when things get a little wild.
And that's the thing about Rob, like 3 out of every 4 attacks will be clean, and then the 4th one will be retarded for some reason.
Whilst Rob obviously has the ability to land bombs with his right hand, as he does here against Jacare, stepping in with the deep 1-2, his right hand often causes him to extend pretty deep to his left. Well, that's just inevitably going to lead to issues, says Mr. Super Smart Redditor who watches the Heavy Hands podcast every week. He's too deep in on that lead leg. Yeah, look, that might have been an issue against Israel Adesanya, I'll give you that. But what it often leads to is the opponent moving in the opposite direction to where Whittaker's body is heading. They move to his right side. Now, if they move in this direction, they move away from the sturdy jab, and they enter open space as Rob is tumbling forward. Yeah, well, fuck that, Rob says. I'll just kick them while they're trying to move away. And that's exactly what he does. As his opponent moves away from the hands, the right shin pops over the top and gives his opponent a cheeky shiner. It's just fabulous. It seems to work particularly well against southpaws, which is oddly convenient given that Rob has spent an unusual amount of time preparing for and or fighting either southpaws or switch hitters. Now, all this isn't to say that Rob can't adapt under pressure and present new weapons. Against Till, he brought out some offensive wrestling so he could feint the level change and land with the hands. In the first fight against Romero, after Yoel hyperextended Rob's knee in the first few seconds, Whittaker stopped jabbing frequently and instead entered behind a rear leg snap kick, which allowed him to keep his wobbly legs straight and then fall into the pocket. Against Rafael Natal, to defend against the low kick, he started pressuring incessantly and looking to time the low kicks with counters as he lifted his shin to check. Also, he landed the 1-2 high kick there as well, so yay! This weekend's performance against Jared Cannonier was indisputably one of his best. All of his weapons were used effectively throughout, even if Jared did end up kicking them a couple of times. With such an emphatic win in the bag, it isn't too crazy to suggest that Whittaker should be the frontrunner to face champion Israel Adesanya again, hopefully sometime in the early going of 2021. Now all I need is for y'all here in Melbourne to stop protesting lockdowns and actually wear a mask, so when the fight inevitably gets booked for Eden Park in Auckland, Jacinta can actually let me in. You fuckwits. Thanks for watching, guys. Do the usual things, like and subscribe, and then go and parrot whatever I've said in this video around r/MMA and pretend like you came to these conclusions organically. Thanks, guys.